The 2023 Indigenous round at Darwin is coming up next week, and over the past few days we've seen a few teams begin to release their special Indigenous round liveries, which is one of my favourite parts of the Supercars season. Seeing all the teams make a special livery, other than Chickford last year, it's really a special moment, and it's like a second Christmas, or sort of that feeling that you get in February, March, when all the teams start to release their liveries. So I decided I wanted to do something a little bit special for it. So I thought, why not revisit last year's liveries and rate them from S, A, B, C, D and E, and F tier. Now I had a preliminary look at this sort of tier list as to where I think I would rate some of these cars, and the D and E tiers are together because there wasn't enough cars that were singularly in E or D tier to sort of justify having it across 7 different categories. So I've decided to combine them just for ease of like making a video. But first we'll start off with the shell one. Now this one was alright. This one was nice. It was an interesting colour scheme, and I think it goes into B class. I think it was a great livery, but it felt kind of safe. It didn't feel as good as some of the other liveries around it, right? No, I think A tier. Sorry, I'm already second guessing myself. We're only on the first one and I'm second guessing myself. This was a nice livery. I like the white being normal and then the red and the yellow on the Indigenous part covering most of the car. That kind of looked nice and the white helped to make it stand out. A tier. Alright, the subway car. Now, personally, I don't like this livery that much. I think the colour schemes just don't work. I think the subway car itself it's not the best colour scheme. Let's just be real there. It wasn't the best colour scheme, but that said, I see the argument for making it A tier. Despite the fact I think it's a B tier livery, A tier, it was very popular when it released. I think the Premiere logo is a bit weird on the top, and I think the subway colours just don't work perfectly, but I see people love this car, and I do see why. Onto the next livery, Scott Pye, the Newlon entry. It's nice, but it's a B tier livery in my eyes. It feels kind of safe. It looks, from a distance, it almost looks spitting image to the old livery. Like, it's very similar. It's not as sort of creative as a design as, say, the shell or the subway cars. That said, it's not a bad livery. It's definitely a slight improvement upon the Newlon livery in and of itself. But I think it was a safe livery, and that's just... I'd prefer to see a team take a risk and it not look perhaps that great than a team that has played it safe and it looks alright. Now, onto Andre Heimgartner. In this car, oh, this car looked good. It was a small change though, but I think the difference here is that this small change elevates the car a lot. This small change makes it a different livery, makes it stand out, and I think it's such a good change that if there was more of that on the hood and on the roof, S tier, instant S tier. It's such a great livery if that's the case, but it's kind of not enough, and that's kind of the trend that you'll see happening here. A lot of the A tier liveries will be just one thing's missing to get it to S tier. B tier is going to be good liveries that are probably a little bit too safe, or probably like great Indigenous designs that just don't fit well. But yeah, it doesn't take a lot to make these cars S tier in my opinion. Maybe just getting rid of maybe changing the colours a little bit for this one. I don't know how to make that S tier if I'm being honest. It's a good design, but I can't think of any ways to improve that without completely overhauling the car. And then just doing something on the hood and the roof, instantly S tier. And our first actual S tier is obviously going to be the Walker Show Dreaded car of Chaz Mostert. It's such a good design. So nice, in fact, that they had to run it twice, as they ran it at Townsville for NAIDOC week. And I mean, what a livery. It just changes the whole car. It's like the Optus and the NTI liveries were already such good base liveries that the Indigenous designs that were put on them just elevated them so much more. Like, instant S tier without a shadow of a doubt. Now the Randall car, A tier. Not enough has been done. Like, it's literally just this logo on the hood to match the safety car, and the worst part about this is it's going to be the highest rated cars of the base Tickford cars because none of the others put in even this much effort. For example, Waters, instantly F tier. Literally nothing changed about this, you know. James Courtney, the same. Nothing changed about his car. His car's here, exact same. Nothing changed about his car. These two liveries were so bad. They don't, like, I can't see anywhere else to put them than F tier. And this one here, not enough's changed. It's E tier. Instant E tier. Following it into E tier is gonna, not E tier, sorry, into D tier, but in the same level. We'll put it in front because it is better. Is the truck assist cars. I think they're not that bad. I think it suffers a lot from the livery not being the best base livery anyway. And the Indigenous design isn't the, like, it's not the most well thought out such as these ones. They just don't look as nice as these. But I do want to give it credit. It is, you know, half the car has been changed, I guess. It's just, it's already an ugly car. It doesn't really work that well. D tier. Our first C tier today is going to be the Penrite car. And honestly, it's such a good, like, it's a good livery. It's a good livery up close, right? Up close, I'd probably put it into B, maybe A tier. It's such a good livery. But from a distance, it just looks kind of, it looks like they've applied army camo to a car. It doesn't really look, it doesn't stand out. If you look at it from close up, you can see the intricate designs and it looks nice. Like, I'd probably put it in B tier if it was for, if you were just looking at it close up. But on the track, it just doesn't stand out. In these photos, it doesn't stand out. I think it's too much, which is a shame because it is a nice livery. It's just a little bit too much. Next on the list, the Boost Mobile Erebus cars, D tier. Not enough has been done. Actually, probably E tier even. Not enough has been done. It wasn't a very creative design, and I don't know if it was just that, you know, sponsors didn't allow it, but it's just such, I mean, if you look at this picture from a distance, you can't tell anything's changed. And if you look at it close up, the only thing that has changed is like the Boost Mobile logo. D tier. Red Bull, again, it's a livery that I want to put in B tier. It's a livery that I want to put in B tier because the sponsors are too busy. The sponsors are way too busy. It doesn't really work well with the livery itself, especially the Red Bull logo. The Red Bull just kind of looks clunky on it. Ampol, it's not the best either, but it looks fine in comparison. But the base layer is such a good livery. Like the blue, amazing. The color, the like 2-tier colors of blue with the white looks so great. I personally would put it B, but I know it was a popular livery. I know it was a very popular livery. I'm still going to put it in B though. I'm still going to put it in B, no, yeah, B. Definitely B class. I think if you work out the sponsors and make them look a little bit less average, A tier. Maybe even S tier, you know. That's the thing. It's only small changes. Cool Drive. Once again, I'd say the Cool Drive car has the sort of benefit of just being a nice looking car in general. The Cool Drive Mustang. The Indigenous design, it's not as full as the Red Bull one, but it works a lot better on the car, which is why I think I'm going to put it as to A tier. It looks like a more complete design. But like, you could almost interchange these two, and I don't think I'd be mad about it, if that makes sense. Jack Smith, S tier, we're putting him at the front. That's such a great livery, such a great change. It's just, like, this, the SCT liveries, right, perhaps some of the best in the grid, some of the consistently best of the past few years, maybe other than Chaz Mostert's car as well. I think Jack Smith's liveries perhaps have been some of the strongest recently. And this is just no change from that path. The whole changes around the back and then the bleeding onto the front as well. It just makes the car look so nice. S tier, instant S tier. Plus the way they announced it, the pictures were fire. Macaulay Jones. It's literally just Andre Heimgartner's, but not as good of a base car anyway. If you, like, This has a roof design as well, but the orange just looks so ugly in comparison. It doesn't work as well. Like, if you put that roof on this car, it probably goes to S tier, you know? This car, if you put like a slightly better color on it, probably jumps up to A, maybe even S tier. And the one good thing about it is that the sponsors look nice. You know, it does look like a complete car. It just kind of, a little bit more is what bumps it up, you know? Okay, next we have Chris Pither in the Coca-Cola car, C tier. I can't really put it above C tier. It's just, the theory is nice. The theory behind it is nice. The black and the red, it's sort of a nice combination. Coca-Cola, I think they used the no sugar livery for this round. And I've got to say the Premier logo blends in a lot better than it does on the Subway car, but it looks way too busy. It looks way too busy. This maybe could do with about, you know, 2/3 of the design it has. It could do with maybe a different color here and there. It could do with something just to change it from being like completely dotted out to being a well-respectable car. And I know I've jumped between saying this needs to do more, this needs to do less, but this really does look too busy as a livery. It just doesn't really, it doesn't have the good vibe, you know? Next, onto the second Team 18 car of Winterbottom, and I'm going to put it in B tier. Same tier as the Nulon car for the same reasons. It feels like a safe livery. That said, like, it's a nice design, don't get me, like, it's an alright design, but it feels very safe, and the sponsor, it's like, there are a few liveries here that it's clear that the sponsors take precedent, and there's a few liveries here that it's clear that, you know, the sponsors are okay with being, you know, sort of taking, not necessarily a backseat, but sort of being involved in the design process. It's this just, you know, the sponsors are more important than the design, and that's not something that necessarily the team can control, but it's just how it is. These two cars though, if I was to rate them, right, the Nulon one is better than the Irwin one. That's just facts. The Nulon one is better than the Irwin one. I'd put Nulon straddling the line between A and B, and the Irwin one straddling the line between B and C if I was to, like, if I could. But they're both B tier. Next, Middies, C tier. It's kind of ugly. Kind of suffers from the same problem the Middies car usually suffers from. Just the pink doesn't really work as well. It stands out. It's not as good as, say, you know, any of these cars up here. Even this color, it works a lot better than the pink in my opinion. That said, they did try some, like, the Indigenous livery on it doesn't look too bad. It does stand out a bit, which is nice, but at the same time, the livery just sucks. Like, the base livery just sucks. So I can't really put it higher than C tier. Normally it'd probably be D tier. But the Indigenous livery sort of just slightly bumps it up. Next, S tier, NTI. This is just good. These two cars, like, top of their class. Walkinshaw and Andretti smashed it out of the park. I don't know what more I can say about this other than instantly S. It's just so good. These two cars, that's what the grid should aim to look like, you know? That's what all of these cars down here need to look at and go, where can we improve our livery? And already, right, at the time of making this video, this car down here, James Courtney's, the Snowy River Caravans, released, looks so much better than it did last year, you know? They've actually got a design that's just, it's clear to me how much effort teams are putting in now, and it's so much better. And even this one, the tradie car, E tier this year. The only change, E tier last year, sorry. The only change was the Indigenous flag on the front, which it's not a great Indigenous livery, is it? They've released this year's livery, and it looks a lot better than it did for last year, you know? It's just, it looks like they've actually put time and effort into it. Now that's the whole main game grid for this season. We had 2 wildcards that weekend, and I'm going to skip over the Walkinshaw and Andretti wildcard of Ojeda and go straight to the Zach Best wildcard, because this is by far Tickford's best entry in this list for the wildcard. And I guess it makes sense. It's not a normal livery. They don't have to keep to the sort of the lines of it, if you will. They don't have to color inside the lines. They can do something a little bit unique. But it's a B tier livery. I feel it's a lot nicer than all their others. Maybe if they did a little bit extra, like a little bit more red on the sides to combat with the black, a little bit more dot painting on the sides or something like that, it would go straight up to A tier, even S tier. But this is the only saving grace for Tickfit, which is really like, it said something about their liveries last year. So having James Courtney's and who was it? Jake Kostecki's liveries no longer be as shit as they are. Now Declan Fraser's, obviously. I had to struggle to remember his name. Jake Kostecki. Poor guy. But yeah, that's a big improvement. Pushing towards B class and A class this year. And finally, Ojeda. A tier. Really good once again. Only thing I could say is more. I think the livery could have done with a little bit more wrapping around the sides, similar to like Mostert's and Percat's. But I think that is a consequence of the darker colours being used on this livery in comparison to, say, Mostert's blue and Percat's white. The red is a lot darker, so it doesn't stand out as much. But that's like, Walkinshaw and Rennie just smashed it out last year. Well, that's my tier list. If you have any thoughts on it, let me know in the comments below, or comment on Twitter. Send me your personal tier list. I did try to take into consideration how other people would feel. For example, with the 888 car, that was sort of something that I was thinking. A lot of people were happy with that one, but I feel like it could have been better. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your tier lists. That's all for this time. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you for watching.